Hello, hello, hello. Sarah Gerard here. Happy Saturday. Happy Independence Day for those of us in the United States of America. And happy Guru Puriman. It is the full moon of July. It's this Sunday, tomorrow, July 5th. And it is a day in which we honor our teachers, the teachers who came before us, and the teachers who came before them, and also the teachers who have yet to be, the teachers of the next generation who are already leading us in so many brave ways, and the teachers we have still yet to meet. So it's a powerful time this weekend. Thank you for spending your time here with me. I'm going to ask you to have 2 blocks and a blanket at your space. It's a little darker than usual in here. It's just a warm little space that I'm visiting here at my sister's, and I'm so happy to be here because her home really is super warm. And so it might be a little difficult to see me more than usual, but that's all good. Set your 2 blocks. I'll do my best to verbally explain if you can't visually see. Set your 2 blocks one next to the other, and of course you can always use a sturdy couch cushion instead of blocks if you don't have those. Take a seat on your 2 blocks that you created a little ledge out of, and then find your blanket. We sat in this way last week at the beginning of our session, and we'll return to that. You're going to actually take your blanket as it's folded like so, and you'll roll it up from folded edge to loose edge, or, for me it's that fringed edge. I'm going to roll it all the way up, a little tight taquito, if you will. I'm going to place it in front of me, and then I'm going to cross my shins over the blanket roll. Now, if I was sitting without the blanket roll, notice what's going on with my outer ankles and my outer shins, right? They're kind of collapsing down towards the floor, or what we call in that position sickling, right? The ankle is sickling. What the blanket roll is now providing is a gentle lift so that the outer shins and the outer legs can be somewhat lifted. Now, I can soften and let go of any effort in my feet and let the blanket provide that sense of lifting. Notice that my knees, here my hands are on my kneecaps, notice that my knees are pretty narrow. In fact, they're working more towards hips distance, pretty close to each other. This is the shape of Sukhasana. There should be about a triangle of space between your thighs, calves, and pubic bones. And take a seat. Here we are. Take a breath and let it go. Again. Allowing your shoulders to soften away from your ears, and allowing your chest to rise and to fill. As many of you know, I come from a family of educators. Both my sisters, my mom, they're all teachers. And one thing that really unites all 3 of them, though they might have different subjects that they share and they each know a lot about, they each want to share their knowledge incredibly freely as a gift. So we honor those teachers who share wisdom, truth, insight freely. My first exposure to yoga really was in a donation-based yoga setting. I couldn't afford yoga. And so I showed up, and it was a free offering. It was a donation. It was what I could give. And I found that when I started giving of what I could, be it time, my energy, my dedication, my support to the studio, my practice became more enriched. And this currency of generosity has imbued my practice for the last 20 years. That which we can freely give and openly receive, and then freely give. Right? Reverse the cross of your legs. Again, Shins are crossed over the blanket, hands on top of your knees. And allowing yourself to sit comfortably, right? So finding your sits bones, supporting them down on your prop. Let your inner groins, inner legs start to soften. And your leg bones here, your upper thighs are rotating or turning out. Hands on your kneecaps again, and there can be a gentle pulling back as your elbows hang down next to your sides. There's a freedom acquired in softness. Right? There is a lot of mixed emotions around Independence Day, 4th of July. There's a lot of violence that occurred for this holiday to take place. And even still, many in our country are fighting to find their freedom, to find their ease. We get strong, we get stable, so that we can support others, right, in their journey towards freedom. Close your eyes if you haven't yet already. Letting your leg bones get heavy. Noticing if they're gripping, inner groins gripping, can you soften there? And then slowly bring your palms together in front of your heart. Hooking the bottom of your sternum so your chest is elevated, collarbones are wide. Shoulder blades start to nestle in on the back towards one another. Chin softly bows down towards your heart. Exhale fully. Inhale completely. Releasing your arms and blinking your eyes open. All right, unravel your legs, step your feet wide, move the blanket roll off to the side, and you'll use it in a second. Just bring your feet rather wide, bring your hands to your legs. Notice that my arms are in between my knees. It's kind of like a little seated happy baby, if you will. Dig your heels down onto the floor, and you can continue holding onto your ankles here or reach your arms long to the outer edges of your feet, holding onto your pinky toes. Now continue to pull your arms back as you start to lengthen your waist and your rib cage forward between your legs. And take a couple breaths here. So we're creating a maximal hinge at your hips, deep flexion in the body. One more breath. There you go. And then you'll release your hands. Bring your right ankle a little bit closer to your body and then extend your left leg out to the side, okay? Now, you're standing on your right foot, and you can do this a couple times, kind of rocking forward and back. And so what we're doing is we're opening our inner legs, lengthening your inner thighs, and finding the weight of your right heel strike down into the ground, maybe even opening your calf or your Achilles, okay? And then come to sit on your prop, so your butt bones are right on that anchor point. Bring your left hand to your right shin and lift your right arm up. And you're going to start to turn and spiral your body towards your bent leg. Now, as I'm doing this, try to lift up through both sides of your body, okay? And you can really pull back, really hoist back on your left elbow, bending your left elbow, wrapping your left shoulder on your back, and staying very vertical with your right arm. Like that right arm, it's hard to see, but that right arm is that central axis around which, or that central maypole around which you are turning. Take another breath. And then exhale, let it go. Second side, bending your left knee, pull your left heel in, straighten your right leg out to the side. Bring your hands together to touch, and do this kind of rocking forward and back a couple of times. Yeah, you'll start to map your inner legs a little bit. And as I'm shifting forward, I can actually scooch my butt bones back a little bit more so that as I sit down, I'm making a clearer connection of my tail and my sits bones to my block. Bring your right hand to your left shin. Lift your left arm up. And you're vertically lifting up through your left arm as you pull with your right arm. Right? I'm moving my right shoulder onto my back, and I'm letting my right rib cage move through. I'm letting my rib cage spiral. Anchoring down through your right heel, stay stable and rooted there. Take 2 more breaths, letting your abdomen get compressed. Last breath. And then slowly release. All right, come off of your blocks. You can place your blocks off to the side. Actually, I'm just going to place them to the top of my space. Lay down onto your back, please. Bring the soles of your feet together, knees apart. So, same, but slightly different. We keep on lengthening our inner legs. Reach your arms directly up to the ceiling and let your shoulder blades get a bit wider and broader. Flex your feet so that the pinky toe sides of your feet are like, I don't know, they're like karate chopping down into your mat. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, lift the back of your pelvis up off of the floor. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift up. Do that a couple more times. This is one of my favorite exercises. I know it's a little inappropriate, right? Looking, if you will. But it's a very effective for strengthening and training your outer hips, your pelvic stabilizers, and specifically the mid-butt. The butt, it's right in the center of each cheek. Kind of obsessed with it personally. Because we sit on our butts a lot, and our butts can develop a lot of amnesia. They forget what they're supposed to be doing when we stand and walk. So starting to get these legs and these glutes fired up and woken up, right, before we stand on them is really beneficial. All right. Keep your knees wide as you lift your hips. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There you go. Hug your knees into your chest. Let your inner groin soften. Rock your knees slowly side to side. Let your abdomen soften. Shift both knees over to your right. Simple spinal twist, extending your left arm to the left. Breathing through your rib cage, breathing through your heart and lungs. Come back to the center. Second side. Rock and come back to the center. Now if your back is tender, roll to your side and use your arms to come up, or you can rock forward and back, building your momentum and coming all the way up to sit. Okay, you're going to set up your blocks again, but this time right at the front portion of your block, or of your mat rather, so that there's a little bit of space in front of the blocks. Place your blanket roll on top of the blocks. Okay? Now, I'm going to place my right rib cage, the hard part of my ribs, on the blanket roll. Okay? Can bend both knees. Okay? Now, if you had an extra pillow, you're always welcome to place it underneath your head. I'm just going to place my hand on my head, just kind of like I'm chilling, hanging out, watching Netflix. What the blanket roll is doing is it's now creating a sense of lift through your ribs, lifting especially the left rib cage up to the ceiling. You can bring your left hand on top of your left rib cage. Exhale fully. Let your rib cage descend. And then as you inhale, widen your ribs into your hand and blanket roll. Exhale fully. Inhale, get wide. Do this twice more. So you're breathing into your upper body. Once more. Try to preserve some of that space in your ribs as you exhale. And then straighten your left leg all the way towards the back of your mat. Flex your left foot and start to lift your left heel up just about hip height, nothing crazy. Now this entire time, I'm lengthening my left foot in the direction of my heel. So my heel is actually emphasizing, right, the back of the leg, the length of the hamstring, and even the direction of the left glute down towards the left heel. Lift your left leg up. Breathe. Especially through your ribs. And then reach and extend your left arm all the way overhead. There's a little bit of a C curve through your rib cage. As you lift the side of your ribs up, lift through your left leg. Lengthen limb from limb and get super long through the left side of your body. Your head and neck are supported so you can soften. Last breath here. And then release. Rebending your left knee. Use your arms and come all the way up. Whew. Second side. Okay. Left rib cage on the blanket roll. Bend your knees. Bend your elbow. Head in hands. And this will also help your neck release as well. Okay, bring your right hand on top of your right rib cage as high up as possible. Now, if this bending and range of movement in your shoulder is inaccessible, it's not possible in your shoulder, you're always welcome to place a pillow underneath your armpit and let the heaviness of your arm just weigh down. What this is doing is it's providing a sense of feedback, a tangible loop for your ribs. Exhale fully. Right, this is learning diaphragmatic breathing. Inhale wide. Exhale fully. And take your time with this. 3 more. Once more. This is our breath work. Inhale. Preserve some of that space in your rib cage as you exhale and extend your right leg forward. Keep lengthening your right leg out of your right hip socket and lift your right foot up hip height. So you'll start to again feel your outer hips and even your mid butt start to fire and firm. Lift your right arm up and overhead and get long limb from limb. Keep breathing through the sides of your ribs. The sides of the body are so important. Reach through your heel. Lengthen your leg out of the hip, but soften your throat, especially the nape of your neck, kind of underneath your hands, and the root of your throat. 2 more. Once more. And exhale, let it go. All right. Move your blanket out of the way. Place your blocks at the top of your space. Bring your hands on top of your blocks on their lowest facet. Okay, and just start to move your ribs around in any direction. We just started to map the sides of the ribs. Okay, so you can kind of wag your tail side to side a bit. See curving the body. And then you can start to go through cat-cow as well. With your hands on blocks, you might find that you actually have a little bit more space to move through. And of course, there's no rush in any of this exploration. Take your sweet, sweet time. 1 more round. And then pause. The heels of your hands are right at the front edges of your blocks. You'll tuck your toes and lift your knees and come to plank pose. Really walk your toes underneath you and then press your heels back so your thighs and your knees start to firm. Lift your sits bones, down dog. Lift your heels. Stay high on your tippy toes so that there's a sense of lift through your butt bones. Yes, your hands are on blocks, so you have a lot more lift in your arms as well. Take another breath. Exhale, release. Move your blocks off to the side. Sometimes when I'm working with a soft block like so, the heel of the hand, because they're slightly squishy blocks, that is, the heel of the hand will get a lot heavier than the front of the hand. So now as you bring your hands down onto your mat, bring more weight to the front knuckles and fingertips of your hands so that we're not overburdening or letting our weight settle in the heels of the hands. Tuck your toes, come up to plank position. This time, bring your toes all the way together to touch. Press your heels back. As you press your heels back, firm and squeeze your outer hips. Lengthen your chest forward and breathe through your ribs. One more. Downward facing dog. Lift your heels high to the sky. Stay lifted with your heels so that there's a height with your butt bones, lifting your sits bones, letting your head get heavy. Firm your legs so the muscles above your kneecaps start to grip and firm. Maybe engage might be a better word than grip if you prefer. Shift forward to plank pose and release your right knee down to the ground. Spin your left foot to the mat, and as you start to lift your left arm off of the ground, keep your right inner elbow rotating to the front of your mat. And you can check that by slightly bending your elbow. If your elbow nods back towards your thigh, you're in a good mood. You're in a good space. You're in a good space regardless, right? You're doing yoga. So that right shoulder is stabilized on your back. Lift your left arm up and extend your left arm all the way over your head. You're welcome to gaze down. I highly recommend that. That will help stabilize your balance. Now, as you start to lift your left heel up off of the floor, notice how I'm shifting forward. Don't do as I do. Try to reach your left foot back so that your right shoulder stays exactly where it is, directly over your wrist. Press back through your left heel to lift your left foot up at hip height and reach your left arm overhead, creating a little slight C curve in the left side of your body. Remember when you were over that blanket roll? Yeah, there's method. Reason behind madness sometimes. Take another breath. And then exhale, release. Hand and knee. Downward facing dog. Sweep your right leg up to the ceiling. And then exhale, place your right foot forward between your thumbs. Release your left knee down. Now, if you have tender knees, you're always welcome to cushion your knees using a blanket. Okay. You're going to sweep your left foot over to the right side of your mat. Again, just sweep the foot over. Walk your hands to the left, and you'll stand up. Okay. Walk your right foot in a little bit so that your right ankle and left knee are on the same line. Bring your right hand to the inside of your right thigh and breathe. I'm going to press my right hand, the back of my right hand, into my knee, and I'm going to press my knee into my hand. So my outer right hip muscle is now starting to firm and tone. Those outer glutes are engaging. You can engage as much or as little as you want. It's your call. It's your practice. Strike your left shin, your back shin, down into the floor. I think I just ate the microphone. I apologize if that made a sound. Lift your left arm up. Keep pressing your left shin down and start to hinge at your right hip. Deepen the fold of your right hip down towards the floor as you start to slide your right forearm down inside of your right ankle. Now, if I'm moving through my right hip, I've maintained a steady length and space on the right side of my body. Continue to press your right arm back. Press your right thigh into your arm. Hello, inner thighs. Take one more breath. This is a variation of Paringasana, or gate pose. As you exhale, press your shins down. Whew, come on up. Bring your hands down to the ground. Sweep your right leg back. Downward facing dog. Move your blanket out of the way if you haven't yet already. Shift forward to plank pose. Bend your elbows and lower down to the floor in one piece. untuck your toes. Lengthen your legs back behind you. Inhale, cobra. So start to lift your shoulder heads off of the ground and get wide as you peel your chest forward to come up. Exhale, release. Keep your shoulder blades on your back. Tuck your toes firmly. Even more, press your toes down into the ground and then lengthen your heels towards the back of your mat. Press your hands down. Pull your chest forward. Inhale. In one piece, plank pose, exhaling. Downward facing dog. Release your left knee down to the ground. Spin your right heel to the floor and pause. Come up onto your right fingertips. And now as you start to turn your rib cage to the right, keep your left shoulder on your back. Tendency will be for that shoulder to kind of collapse forward and come with the torso. Keep this left shoulder on your back as your rib cage turns and spirals. Lift your right arm up. Reach and extend your right arm over your head, palm facing the floor, and I recommend looking down. Now, as you start to peel your right pinky toe off of the floor, notice your body will want to shift forward. Resist that. Press your right foot farther away from you. Lengthen your right leg out of your hip socket as you lift your right foot up, hip height. Keep anchoring your left hand down, spreading weight through all of your fingertips and your knuckles. Last breath here. And then exhale, release. Right hand, right knee, downward facing dog. Lift your left foot up to the ceiling. As you exhale, swing and place your left foot forward between your thumbs. Pad your right knee if you'd like to. Bring your right knee down to the mat. Sweep your right foot to the left and stand up tall. Walk your left foot in so that your left foot and your right knee are in line. Bring your left forearm to the inside of your left leg and stand down through your left heel. When I press down into my left heel, I'll start to feel the great back line of my left leg all the way up into my left glute firm. Press your left arm back to get your left shoulder on your back. Left rib cage spirals. Reach your right arm up to the ceiling. And now this isn't just a movement, I'm a little teapot, right, through the rib cage. That would potentially shorten and compress my left waist. As I start to hinge to the side, I have to descend my left hip. I have to fold a bit more at my hip crease as I start to slide down. Keep going. Keep going. Any amount. Keep going. Lengthening through your ribs, lengthening through your arm. Press down through your right shin. And then come back up. And release your knees. All right, move the blanket out of the way. Have you found your side body yet? That's a hint on what our new pose of the month is. Side body, downward facing dog. Shift forward to plank pose. Exhale, lower all the way down. Pull your chest onto the back. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, release. Tuck your toes, engage and firm your thighs. Breathe in. Exhale, chaturanga. Lift your navel, lift your pelvis. Hover your torso. Plank pose. Down dog. Well, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome for being here. Bend your knees. Hopper step feet to your hands. Inhale, pull your chest forward. Exhale, hinge and fold. Stand, inhaling. Exhale, Tadasana. Release your arms down next to your sides. Inhale, sweep your arms. Exhale, hinge at your hips, fold forward. Let's build some warmth. Inhale, lengthen halfway out. Step your left leg back. Come all the way up, high lunge, breathing in. Exhale, release your hands down to the ground, step back, down dog. Now, if you're working with an ankle, or rather wrist, elbow, or shoulder injury, or even if you've got an ankle sensitivity, you can omit doing the push-ups and the back bends. You can stay here if you'd like. Or if you're with me, shift forward, inhale, exhale, lower halfway or all the way, cobra or up dog, exhale, downward facing. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step your left foot forward. Come all the way up. Exhale, release your hands down, step forward and fold. Bring your feet together. Bend your knees, rocking your weight to your heels. Lift your chest. Stand all the way up. Inhale, chair. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Step your right leg back. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, hands down. Word facing dog. Shift forward, plank pose. Exhale, lower. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step forward. High lunge, breathing in. Hands down, step forward and fold. Chair pose, breathing in. Ooh, we're cooking now. Stand up, release your arms. Twice more, Chandra Namaskar. Inhale, chair. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Step your right leg back. Let the breath carry you all the way up. Hands to the mat, step back, down dog. Pause here if you'd like, or shift forward. Exhale, lower. Cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing. Left leg lifts. Exhale, forward. Come on up. Hands down, step forward and fold. Chair pose, feet together, knees together. Stand up. Exhale, release. Last time, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Right leg leads back. High lunge. Hands down, word facing dog. Pause here. Or inhale, forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down dog. Right leg rises. Exhale, step your right foot forward. Inhale, lifting. Hands to the ground, step forward and fold. Chair pose, bend your knees, breathe in. Stand up, exhale, release your arms. Hug your right knee into your chest. Bend your right knee. Plant your right foot to your inner left leg. Tree pose, Vrikshasana. Now as you're pressing your right foot into your inner left leg, press your left leg into your right foot. Reach your arms up. Start to direct your right heel slightly forward so that again you can feel your outer right hip tone and firm. Bring your outer right wrist to your inner left knee. Again, press, hand to leg. Woo. Balance might happen, balance might not happen. Keep breathing. Press your right thigh into your hand and then start to side bend like you did a moment ago with your knee down in Paringasana. Side bend. Open up the lungs. Come back up to the center. Reach both arms. Release your right foot. Stand in Tadasana. Second side. I'm holding inside of my leg. Then I hold the back of the ankle and I slide the foot all the way up to the inner right groin, as high up as I can, right, as is comfortable, right? We avoid pressing the foot on the knee altogether. Left hand goes to the inner left leg. Reach your right arm up. Gain height. Get long. Side bend. One more breath. Arms high, left foot down, Tadasana, stand well. Stand at the top of your mat if you aren't already. Chair pose, breathing in. Bring your palms together to touch. And then you're going to be like an opera singer here. You're going to try to hook your fingers and then try to separate your elbows and see what that does. I notice that firms my lats and my rhomboids, my pulling muscles, and it helps me widen my chest a bit. Turn and twist left elbow towards right thigh. You might have a little harder time hooking the knee, and that's okay. Keep separating your elbows, lean your chest back as you breathe into your upper body. Forward fold, let go. Inhale, lengthen out halfway. Plant your palms, either step or jump back, down dog. Step your right foot forward, outside of your right hand. So you're going a little bit wider this time around. Bring your left foot and your left heel down to the mat, and notice I placed the foot as opposed to swiveled the heel, correct? When I place the foot down, I can keep my outer right hip hugging into my body. Bring a block underneath your right hand, and of course you can use a book, or I like a big can of beans sometimes if I don't have a block. Right arm pressing on your inner right leg. Squeeze and hug your outer right hip underneath you. Left arm over your head. Et voila, the pose of the month. Parshva, Konasana. Parshva is side, Kona is angle. You're making an angle through the left side of your body to the ground. Right? So from my left heel, left outer hip, left ribs, left fingertips, it's at about a 45-degree angle from the ground. Take one more breath here. And then slowly release. Move your block out of the way and step your right leg back. Release your knees down to the ground, and you'll pause here for a moment. You can untuck your toes. Make sure that your inner elbows are spinning forward so that as you bend your elbows and tap them down to the floor, your forearms are parallel. Straighten your arms. Bend your arms. Straighten. Bend. A few more times. What we're working here are the triceps. These little pulses are wonderful to help us fully straighten our arms. In fact, these triceps, the back of the arm muscles, are primarily involved in straightening our arms. And, from chronic patterns of, holding bags, typing on our computer, texting on our phones, our elbows stay bent a lot. And so therefore, just like our buns, our triceps can forget how to fully straighten our arms. Starting to feel a little toning on the backs of the arms, these outer arms. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Firm your arms, straighten them, come to plank pose. Bring your feet together to touch, engage your legs. Look down the front of your body, and then you're going to lift your right foot up, turn your right leg in, and land the pinky toe side of your right foot on the ground. Left foot stacks on top. Now take a look. I'm not letting my outer ankle collapse down onto the floor. Very similar to the beginning. I'm keeping the outer ankle lifting up, and that will propel my hips to stack and my rib cage and my shoulders to stack. Lift your left arm up. Vashisthasana. One more breath. Release your left hand, downward facing dog. Second side, lift your left leg high. Step your left foot forward between your thumbs. Actually, take your left foot wide. Return your right heel down to the ground by picking up and placing your right foot. Bring your right hand onto a block inside of your right leg, your left leg rather. I notice that just gives me a little bit more lift, a little bit more separation between my rib cage and my thigh. Now I can start to spin and turn my chest without taking my shoulder. My left arm is pressing back into my left leg, even more propelling my torso to turn. Reach your right arm up. Extend your right arm all the way forward. Utthita Parshva Konasana. One more breath. Release your hands down. Move the block out of the way. Step your left leg back. Release your knees down to the ground. Plant your hands down. Spin your inner elbows forward. You guessed it, bend your elbows. Straighten your arms. Not as many as we did on the first side, but continue to pulse. 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 Narrowing your elbows, keeping your forearms parallel. Pulse. 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 So good. It's so good to move, to breathe, to learn how our body moves and breathes, to learn about our habitual patterning and then to change those patterns to more efficient, more useful, more generous patterns. All right, elbows down. This time interlace your fingers all the way up to the webbing. Press your forearms down into the ground, and as I do that, my shoulder blades spread wide. Tuck your toes. Lift your sits bones, lift your hips. Chin to chest. Your head is not on the floor just yet. Keep your heels really high and breathe. Release your knees. Release your hands. Straighten your arms. You got this. Straighten your legs. Bring your feet together to touch. Look down the front of your body. Lift up your left foot. Turn your left leg in. And land the outer pinky toe, the karate chopping side of your left foot, down on the mat. And then let your hips turn. Right hip is stacked directly on top of left. Right rib cage directly on top of left. Left shoulder on the back. Right arm up. Maybe right foot stacks on top of left. Reach and extend from your waist through your side body. Reach. One more breath. Release your right hand, downward facing dog. Release your knees to the floor. Lower your hips towards your feet, child's pose. You can keep your arms out in front of you or slide your hands back next to your ankles and soften. You're doing great. You're doing awesome. Notice your breath moving through your body. Yeah. All right. You're going to walk your hands back, lift your chest up, and then you're going to sit off to the side. Okay. Extend your right foot forward. Bend your left knee. This time pull your left heel towards your pubic bone. And there can even be a slight rolling of the top of your foot. So now the top of my foot and even my toenails start to lower down onto the ground. Press through your heels. Lift up. And start to turn your body towards your bent leg. Breathe. Bring your right hand on top of your left thigh. Very similar to how we started. Lift your left arm up. All right, that left arm is connection to your central line, and you're turning around that center spit, as they say over at Ketona Yoga World. Just turn around your central spit. Now you're going to either stay here or tip your torso down in the length and the direction of your right leg. Reach. Breathe. Come back up center. And then release. Switch sides. So extend your left leg. I'm going to bend my right knee close in. So really trying to close that knee. That's important if you ever work towards lotus pose, that closing of the knee. Really bend the knee. And now the lower leg is just going to turn slightly so that the top of my foot now starts to come down to the ground. Even my toenails, my big toenail, will start to move down towards the mat. Flex your left foot and press the whole left leg down into the ground. Turn towards your right bent leg. As you turn your torso, the left hip will try to lift up. Don't let it. Continue to anchor your left outer thigh down. Turn. Left hand braces the right thigh. Lift your right arm up. Spiral. Stay here or in your spiral. Hinge at your left hip. Side bend. Last breath. And then coming back up to center. All right, unravel from that. Slip your right foot forward a little bit more and cross your left ankle behind. So you have your right ankle and shin crossed in front. And again, I'm crossing at my shins as opposed to taking my knees wider and crossing at my ankles, right? It's very different. I'm narrowing my knees. I'm keeping that space between my thighs and my shins, and I'm letting my ankles descend for a moment. If you would prefer to be on your blocks or your sturdy pillow like we were at the beginning, you're welcome to. Okay? Scoot your sits bones back slightly. Let your inner groins, your inner legs lengthen down. That will help to hinge your torso forward at your hip creases. Bring your palms to the soles of your feet, and yes, you will wash your hands in a moment. Press your hands into your feet like a vice, and press your feet into your hands, especially your big toes. Now you're starting to wake up your outer ankles, and your outer feet will start to rise slightly away from the mat. Pull your chest forward. Lengthen your waist forward between your thighs. Take 2 more breaths here. Come back up to sit. Reverse the cross of your legs. Okay? There might be a notable difference, right? When my legs and my feet are just kind of hanging, flopping, versus when we really start to get them woken up and part of the process. Bring your hands to your feet, okay? Again, my feet are completely sloppy. Here, they're completely just loose, floppy. Floppy would probably be a better word than sloppy. Press your hands into your feet. Okay. Press your feet, especially your big toes, into your hands. And as you activate your feet, as you wake up your outer ankles, notice that your thigh bones are also starting to get targeted, and they slightly peel open a bit. Hinge at your inner hips. Fold and move your sits bones back. Breathe. Take another breath. Release your hands from your feet. Lift your chest up. Unravel your legs. Bring your feet on the floor. Shift your knees slowly side to side. Okay. We have to do one more standing pose because I forgot it, and it's important for us to do it on the other side. So come up on your feet. Stand. Bring your feet together to touch. Okay. Bend your knees, lower your hips back. Yes, the second side of twisting chair. If you've been to my classes before, you know that I always forget this pose. So, welcome. Hook your fingers rather than interlace them. Try to separate your elbows, widening your chest. And this is actually a really great reprieve after what we were just doing. Firm your buns and then start to shift in the other direction, twisting. It might take a little bit more oomph, yeah, as you're pulling your elbows away to get your right elbow to hook your left thigh. Take another breath. Forward fold, let it go. Inhale, pull out halfway. Plant your palms down to the ground, step or jump back, downward facing dog. If you want, you're welcome to slip in an extra chaturanga and up dog if that floats your boat. Last month was boat pose. This month, Parsvakonasana, side angle. Release your knees, cross your shins, sit behind your feet. Okay, one more time, cross your shins. Now, you're welcome again to sit on your props, like we did at the beginning. You can also sit on the floor here with your right shin in front of your left. Or you might hold on to the underside of your ankle and cross your right ankle over your left thigh. So notice that as I do that, my ankle can be relatively supported by my knee, and my foot kind of hangs over the front edge, as opposed to placing the foot in the crease of the knee, creating that kind of sickle shape with the ankle. I want that ankle to be very strong and supported because that's going to have an effect all the way up on the hip. Press your hands down. You might even scoot your hips kind of over to the left and back. Bring your palms to your feet. Press your palms into your feet into your palms, and breathe. There is an active toning and firming of your outer hips. Last breath here. Lift your chest and unravel. Okay, reverse the cross of your legs. Now, you're welcome to stay here with your knees crossed and your shins crossed rather, and your knees resting on your ankles. Okay, or bring your left foot up. You hold the underside of your ankle as opposed to the foot, which I can easily torque and twist. I hold the sturdy bone and I take it over my knee. Okay? This is how we make things clearer and precise in the practice. Scoot your hips back and to the right. Flex your feet, bring your palms onto your feet. Firm your hands into your feet. Press your feet into your hands. Extend your chest forward. One more breath. And then lift your chest and unravel. Okay. Bring your feet out in front of you. Dandasana. If you know that you like sitting on your blanket, feel free to move your blanket underneath your hips, and so that it supports not only your sits bone, the top of the hamstring. Okay? So the whole underside of your leg. Moving your pubic bone down into the ground. Lift your arms up. Press your heels down. Press your thighs down. Hinge at your hips and fold for a moment. Pull your thighs back into your thigh bones. Your thigh bones into your hip sockets. The sockets making a clearer connection to the ground. Bring your hands down next to your hips, shoulders on your back. Lift your chest. Lift your arms up again. Keep your arms lifted, thighs pressing down, and start to turn to your left. Turn to your left. Turn to your left. Right thigh is getting heavy. Bring your right arm down to the outside of your left thigh. Press your hand into your thigh and move your chest forward, revolving, revolving. You're welcome to stay here, or you might extend your right hand down towards your left foot, reaching, 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 turning, reaching. You can hold on to the outside of your left foot, possibly. Maybe your left hand holds on the outside of your right foot. Parivrita, Paschimottanasana. Lift your left arm. On an inhale, come back upright to sit. Keep your arms high. So with your arms lifted, you've got to use the center of your body, your core strength, to turn, turn to the right, turn to the right. Press your thighs down, lift your chest. Bring your left arm to the outside of your right thigh. Now you have your arm to press against your right thigh, and your left shoulder on your back. Revolve. Lift up. Stay here or slide your left arm down. Keep turning. Keep turning. Slide. Keep turning. Slide. Keep turning. Hold on to the outer right foot. Maybe hold on to the outer left foot. Keep turning. Reach your right arm up as you inhale. Ooh, come all the way up. Come back to the center. Press your thighs down. Press your ankles down. Lift up. Exhale, release your arms. All right, shift forward off of your blanket. Move your blanket off to the side. Actually, I take that back. If you do have a blanket, like I do, unfold it once, and then you're going to do a little accordion fold. Make sure that there are no wrinkles in it, because especially after we've been practicing so specifically, if there's like a little wrinkle or fold in the blanket, it turns into Princess and the Pea, and you can feel every rough edge. So once you've unwrinkled your blanket, you're going to do an accordion fold. So it's going to be 3. Watch this. It's 1, 2, 3. You want me to do that again? Okay. So I'll do it from the side. 1, 2, 3. And this makes the blanket a little bit narrower than if we folded it in half, and a little bit higher. Place the blanket behind you. I'm working with a fringed edge, and I'm going to place that fringed edge closer to my pelvis. I'm sitting on the blanket. I'm going to have my blocks next to me, within arm's reach. I'm going to bring my hands behind me, tuck my tail, so the back of my pelvis, back of my sacrum is coming into contact with those little fringed edges. And then I'm going to roll all the way back so that the blanket is supporting my spine. And then if you would like, you can always take the back edge of the blanket and fold it underneath your head. And what I like about this fold of the blanket is it's slightly narrower than my shoulder blades, so that my arm bones can start to hang down towards the floor. Of course, if you have a bolster at home, you can always use the bolster, but I even like this sometimes better than the bolster because it's not as invasive. You're going to bring the soles of your feet together, knees apart. And now we've done plenty for your inner leg stretching. This is not about stretching. I'm going to bring the soles of your feet together, and I'm going to angle the blocks in towards me so that my thighs are in contact with a flat edge of the block, if you will. And what the blocks are providing is a sense of support for my leg bones so that my inner groins, my inner legs now are not getting taut and stretched, but rather my inner groins can soften. You can bring one hand to your stomach, one hand to your chest, closing your eyes. Let yourself settle here for a moment, a mere moment. welcome to remain here, or if you prefer to straighten your legs, you're welcome to. You're welcome to stay here longer if you wish, or begin to deepen your breath. Move your fingers and toes. Rebend your knees one at a time. Roll to one side. Use your arms to press yourself up. You're welcome to sit cross-legged if you prefer, or you can sit on a chair or a couple blocks. The seat that I will be taking is called Siddhasana. I'm bringing my foot in closer to my pubic bone, rolling towards the top of the foot, and doing that with the second foot, top of the foot. This way there's that clear line from the shin all the way to the ankle, and that the knees stay safe. They are wide. Bring your hands down onto your shins and your thighs, maybe even cupping your kneecaps. And there can be a gentle pulling back of your elbows. You're welcome to close your eyes. Santosha. This month's exploration of the second niyama. Santosha is satisfaction, contentment. And we find it in those moments when we permit ourselves to soften and to fully acknowledge and experience that which we are moving through currently. Santosha is a state of presence. Notice any softness you've created. And then soften your hands together so your palms touch. I honor you, my great teachers. Thank you for staying in touch. Thank you for being here. I honor you in your freedom and your fight for more to experience freedom. I honor the teachers who have come before me, who have filled my life, and for the teachers who have yet to be, who we have yet to meet. Breathe in. Breathe out. Namaste. Have a beautiful rest of your day, loves. I will see you back here anytime you want.